Welcome back. This week, 3D modeling and design. SculptGL. What is 3D modeling? What do you think? Have you heard of that before? Well, 3D modeling is the creation of a three-dimensional object inside of simulated software. This object, whatever it is, can be created from just simple shapes or all the way up to complex high polygon models. We'll talk about what polygon is in a minute. Let's talk about dimensions, because we're talking about 3D. That's dimensions. The D in 3D stands for dimensions. And we live in a three-dimensional world. There's 3 dimensions. We have height, length, and depth. And those are axes, you can also call them. There's the X, Y, and Z, or height for Y, length for X, and depth is Z. If we got rid of dimensions one at a time, our world would look differently than it does. Here we have a 3D chair in a 3D room. If we got rid of one dimension, say our Z dimension or Z axis, we go from 3D to 2D, okay, so just a flat plane, to 1D, it's a single line, to 0D is an infinitely small point. But let's go back to that other word I was talking about a second ago. What's a polygon, right? Where we were talking about how the object that you create when you're modeling something, it can be simple shapes or it can be high polygon models. So, what's a polygon? Is that a polygon? No, that's Porygon. That's a Pokemon, but he's made of polygons because a polygon is a plane figure with at least 3 straight sides and angles, and typically 5 or more. So basically, it's a shape that is either a triangle or can be made out of triangles. So that's a polygon. And when we talk about polygons in 3D modeling, we talk about low poly versus high poly. And the more polygons there are, the more detailed or smooth or even little bumps and stuff that an object can have. So here we have a low polygon face versus a mid polygon face. Low poly has like 500 polygons, mid poly 1,000, high poly has 9,000 polygons. Quite a lot of polygons. Here's a low poly elephant versus a high poly elephant. You can see it's kind of a difference of resolution. Here's a low poly Pikachu. Here's a kind of a mid poly Pikachu. But how is 3D modeling used, like in the real world? How is it used in jobs and in industries? Well, it's used a lot in film and TV. There are all sorts of TV shows and movies that are made that use CGI or computer-generated imagery or 3D modeling. And from big-time movies from like Disney and everything to even small little TV shows use lots of 3D modeling for effects and all sorts of things. It can be used in video game development. Lots and lots of video games use 3D modeling to a huge degree, especially, 3D games. Okay, 2D games usually use something else, but even 2D games sometimes use 3D modeling too. For example, like Ori and the Blind Forest is a 2D side-scroller, but all of its characters and models and things are all 3D. Architecture. Architects use 3D modeling to build 3D basically versions of a house, or basically a 3D blueprint almost, before they actually build the house or have somebody actually build it. They build it virtually. And even in engineering, they use 3D modeling to map out new kind of basically mechanics that they could build. Let's talk about one more thing before we get into what we're doing. What is symmetry? You probably know what symmetry is already, hopefully, but if not, symmetry is the quality of being made up of exactly similar parts facing each other or around an axis. Okay? There's two types of symmetry. There's one that most people think about. That's straight down the middle. Okay? Symmetrical on both sides, like Mr. Bean's face, even though his nose is a little bit off, huh? Then there's radial symmetry. Okay? So radial symmetry is symmetrical out from a point. So we have bilateral is straight down the middle. So bi is two, laterals sides, so two sides, two similar sides. And radial is out from a single point. Like a starfish has radial symmetry in 5 directions. Finally, let's talk about 3D printing too. Okay, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about. Finally, 3D printing. With a 3D printer, you can take a 3D design you make, and you can bring it into the real world. So you can design something on a computer and print it, and suddenly you have your own shoe, your own instrument, or your own tabletop model or something. And it's pretty cool. Today, what are we going to do? I want to teach you a new program called SculptGL, and then we can save a picture of what you make and post it on Seesaw. So follow the next bit of my lesson to see how to do stuff with SculptGL. All right, when you're ready to get started making your own 3D model, go back to Seesaw. And so here we are watching the video. Here's the assignment. You want to click on this link right here. So it says next, click here to get to SculptGL. Okay, and then it says make a unique 3D model of your own. And after you're done, take a screenshot. So let's learn how to do that. I'm going to click SculptGL. And here we have it. Looks a lot similar to a program I taught you guys, well, some of you, how to use before, called Sculptress. This is way cooler than Sculptress, though, because it's completely running within your internet browser. You don't have to download and install anything. It's totally running for free from the internet. And you can just play around with it, and it works the same too. And as you can see, it's symmetrical right now. We have symmetry turned on. To get to symmetrical mode, or to turn it on or off, okay, you can go over to sculpting and painting here on the far right, okay, and it's a little drop down menu and extra options when you press Control, and down at the bottom, symmetry, okay, and you can click that to turn it off, and now you're not symmetrical. Check it, and now you are again. Now in Sculptress, you could only turn it off once, and you couldn't turn it back on. So this is even cooler. You can have a sort of symmetrical, non-symmetrical object. If you're trying to sculpt like a face or a creature, like some living thing, or like a head of something, like a person or animal or whatever, it's very good to keep symmetry on because, like I said before, almost all living creatures are symmetrical. Okay, it starts you with a sphere. Okay, whoops. Oh no, we lost our sphere. Well, if we lose our sphere, whoops, oh well, we can add another one. If you go to Scene, okay, Add Sphere, ta-da, and you get your starting shape back. To basically just to model, to sculpt your sphere, you just click, or if you're on the Chromebook without a mouse, you can just touch on the screen, drag on your sphere, and it should model and just basically add stuff as if you're just modeling some clay. So, for example, you want to make a face, maybe you can make some eyes. Oops, how did I do that? Oh. What is going on with that? Oh wow, it holds it in place too. I'm just learning brand new things as I'm experimenting with this. Look at that. Wow, and it sculpts around it. That is a weird looking alien creature right there. Now we're gonna make a mouth like that. Oh, weird. Look at that. Okay, so oh, it's masking. Okay, so this is for masking. So you do mask and then you can edit around it. How bizarre. Okay, this is a weird example. I wasn't expecting this, but play around with control. Let's start over and I'll show you how to make a face like I was going to show you. Okay. So you can go to scene, clear scene. That'll get rid of your object. Add sphere. So just like in Sculptress, to add or paint with the brush, or basically sculpt with the brush, so something sticks out, you just click and just click your mouse. But if you want an indentation, so if you're going to kind of take something away almost, you want to hold the Alt key as you click and sculpt. So I want to make, for example, some eye sockets, maybe some eyes in the middle of the sockets, and maybe I want to make some kind of nose. I want to play around with my radius of my brush size to get bigger or smaller brush pieces, of course. Always playing around with your brush size. Look at that. Okay, so X. If you hold the X button, it says a little shortcut right there next to the radius label for that scroll bar. You can make it bigger or smaller, your brush size, just by holding X and moving your mouse left or right. Okay, so I want to make, let's say I want to make my brush size a little bigger on the fly without pressing or going over here and clicking and dragging this. Okay, just hold X and then I can make it smaller or bigger. Let's make an indentation for this mouth I want to make for this weird person. I'm just going to do real quick. Oh, creepy, huh? Pretty weird. Okay, there's a creepy mouth indentation. Interesting. Now, like I was going to show before, I usually show how to do some quick little teeth. You want to change your brush tool from brush to drag. Now this way you can pull out pieces. Decrease the brush size to about the width of a tooth. Okay, and now you're going to think about how this drag tool works. So let me show you on here. So you can drag out. Okay, and let's make a little bit bigger brush size here so it'll show you a little easier. Okay, so let's say I wanted to drag out some ears. Okay, like that. But let's say I wanted to drag out the nose, and I accidentally drag out like that. Uh-oh. Okay, so it depends on which plane your mouse is on and how you drag. It drags out straight from however that circle is facing. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, so I could drag up the bridge of the nose by going like that here. I could drag out the forehead or put it in. Okay, but if I want teeth, I gotta position it so the circle is facing like flat to the inside of the mouth. Make this smaller. And here we go. Here's some teeth. That's kind of working. Just a little bit. Some creepy little teeth. Now these might be jumping out at all weird angles, which they are a little bit. You want to keep rotating. Rotate, and move, and rotate to get better views of how you're making something if you're modeling. Now this is a really creepy, like a goblin face, okay? I'm not anywhere close to being done with this. I would want to keep modeling, adding like hair or back of the head and maybe a neck or something. Try not to just get just the front part of your circle, okay? I want you to model as much as you can and make it at least look at as little like a circle or your starting shape as you can. That's how a really good model works, okay? And if you model a lot, you can get some really complex creations. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this, but to move your object on the screen like this, if you're using a mouse, it's the middle mouse click. you hold down the scroll wheel, if you have a scroll wheel, and you drag. Now, if it's on the Chromebook, it's dragging 2 fingers across the screen, okay? Not on your creation, but on the side of it. To zoom in and out, it's 2 fingers like that, not on your creation. To rotate, it's 1 finger on your on the outside of your creation. Just to model, it's touching the creation, okay? But for a mouse, it's middle mouse click to move, right click to rotate, and scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Just like Sculptress. So, like I was saying, if you try hard at this, you can make some really cool stuff. For example, here's a dinosaur. Now, it just takes a lot of work and a lot of practice, but you can model some really cool stuff. And whatever you model, you know, you can eventually use it in a game, in a movie, in however you're going to do it. You can rig it up to eventually to be like a animated thing, to have like motion, or even you could 3D print it. So there's so many things you can do with 3D models once you make them. Just spend some good time practicing this and playing around with the different tools, the different brush types, besides just brush and drag. Those are the 2 ones I showed you. And oh yeah, one last thing. To see like your low poly or high poly, your polygon count, you can go to Topology on the right here, this other drop down menu over here, and you can click on resolution over here, okay? And if you have a low res, that's low poly, okay? You can start to see, okay, so I don't have too many polygons in whatever I just made right there. If you want to see the polygons, if you want a wireframe to show where your polygons are, you want to click on rendering over here, the top one, and you go down, 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 and here's wireframe right there. Okay, so we can see, wow, this actually has lots and lots of polygons right here. If you want to make a low poly creation, like a cool looking spaceship or something, those usually look cool with low poly. You can go to resolution, decrease it a lot, and you want to click remesh to basically, ta-da, redo the polygons on your creation. So you usually want to do that closer to the start of what you're making something, because otherwise it'll get rid of a whole bunch of details, like you can see what just happened here. But as you can see too, I have way less polygons. Okay, so we went from that to super low poly. Again, it's cool to make like spaceships. If you do like dragging tool with low poly, it could look pretty awesome with these polygons jumping out and stuff, like making kind of flat planes and stuff. Again, try to make a creation, whatever it is you want to make. Doesn't have to be after a living creature. It could be abstract if you really want to make abstract, but try to make like something specific, like a spaceship or like a creature. But once you make it, we gotta save a picture, okay? Follow the next bit of tutorial to see how to make a screenshot with a Chromebook and upload it to Seesaw. Okay, once you make something, hopefully it's cooler than this, by the way, make sure you get it positioned in your screen in a way that you like. You can press the full screen button, okay? And that's right next to the window button to take a better picture of just what you want instead of having all the windows at the top. Get it kind of centered and big. Then you want to use the screenshot. It's the window button, actually. So you want to push 2 buttons. You want to first push Control and hold down Control with 1 finger. I'm holding down Control. Then with another finger, I'm going to press the window button on the Chromebook. Boop. And it'll say screenshot taken, okay, over here on the right. And then you want to go back to Seesaw. You want to go to basically add response to the assignment. You want to go to upload. Okay, so here's upload right here. And you want to click select from computer. Okay, so right there. And then you're going to just browse through your downloads folder, and it should have saved your screenshot in this folder. So you can click on, for example, well, you can just scroll up and down until you find your screenshot. Here's screenshots down here. Or you can click on images on the left, and that'll help you sort it. And you can find whatever the top one is, it's probably the newest one you took. So there's the one I just took. I click open, and I click the checkbox. And there I have it. And that's how you save a screenshot and post it to Seesaw.
Okay, if you're working on a desktop versus the little Chromebooks, it's a little different to save a screenshot. Okay, so here's how to save a screenshot if you're doing this on the desktop. You need to find a button on your keyboard, and that button is the print screen button. Okay, so it either says PRTSCN or it says print screen. It should say it on it, and it should be on your keyboard. It might be somewhere closer near the top, but it's in these buttons over to the sides, usually, of the main keyboard. And you just hit print screen. Okay, so I'm going to hit it now. Print screen. And you won't see anything happen, but it should have saved basically in the background. Now you go back to Seesaw, and you can go to Drawing, and watch this. It's this easy. You just hold Control and press V, and ta-da! It pastes your printed screen. And now you can resize it. You can do whatever you want. Add some whatnot. Add some captions, and that's it. And you click the check mark, and you're done. So again, it's that easy. You just press the print screen button. Boop. You go back to Seesaw, and you push Control V to paste, and you're done.